Soul Calibur.
Hey everyone, it's Mark, and let's talk gaming news. So one of my first stories we're going to be talking about today is the main reason why Sony has pulled out of E3 this year. It came as a big shock to a lot of people, but for those of us who've been following the current trends in the market on where Sony is going in 2020, this is kind of a lot more understandable than most. Now, some of this news comes from a Redditor who has, I will obviously post the article on the screen as I'm talking about it, but he has been right before about a number of other things, and this is just one that we can add to his credibility list. And if it is true, I do want to specify that this is a rumor though, so take it with a grain of salt, but it's interesting information nonetheless. So to get right into it, they're saying that Sony is actually going to be releasing the PlayStation 5 in November of 2020, and they are going to be holding their own press conference in mid-2019 to announce the launch of the system. Now, what this means is that the reason they're pulling out of E3 is because they're focusing all of their resources on the time from hosting their own event to announce the PlayStation 5's incursion into the next generation of consoles. So, for those of you that are PlayStation fans, this is a really big thing and really nice news. As you know, the PlayStation has sold over 85, million units worldwide, which is a lot of units. Now, there's a lot of rumors also going about that they want the PlayStation VR 2.0 hardware hardwired into the system so that it can run it more easily. They're going to push more for the hardware in the future. It's supposed to be at a $499 price point. That's the PlayStation 5 itself, which is a bit pricey, but I mean, let's just see what they're going to bring to the table, because a lot of people were upset with the PlayStation 3. It turned out to be a great console nonetheless, but that initial price point was a bit much. Now, with the PlayStation going more towards VR, this is exciting personally for me because I didn't go into the VR market knowing that they're probably going to iron out some kinks, especially with the wires, and I wanted a wireless headset, and it would be a lot more streamlined and maybe smaller, and there's talk of PlayStation gloves that are going to work with it. So maybe like Franklin Institute style. I don't know how that's actually going to be implemented. We have to look more towards the future to see what's going to happen with that, but that's the information that I have based on that. I will have a link to the articles in the description box down below, so you can always go down there to check out for yourself. So with that, I also want to say that the reason that they're pushing so hard for VR is they have just sold, I think, 3 million units, which is a significant number for VR. It's definitely more successful than past attempts at bringing VR to the home consoles. We had failed attempts before, and that's pretty decent, but knowing that there's over 85 million units out there, 3 million is a very small chunk of that, especially because the price point of the VR was so high at launch. Now you can find one for about $199 pre-owned, especially at GameStop, maybe cheaper if you're looking on somewhere like Amazon or eBay, but it is still not really that affordable for people, and there's not that many games that offer a VR experience outside of maybe Elder Scrolls or Biohazard, Resident Evil 7. So it really depends on the player that likes those games to interact with that experience. Other than that, it's just like a movie media player in a chat room. So what are your thoughts on that? Would you guys want to go head forward if we're actually going to have actually good VR and it's done properly, instead of like the iterations to this? Now, this could be, if you didn't like the VR on the PlayStation 4, that's good news for you, because these companies learn from things. So the reason that the Wii U failed, Nintendo took into consideration, and they took that tablet and they ran with it, and the Nintendo Switch was the next necessary result. That is an actual evolution of the Wii U. They took what worked, and they got rid of what didn't work. They marketed it properly this time, and it was a success. Now, there are some rumors that PlayStation 5 might launch in March of 2020, and it's between the windows between March and November. I'm going to say it's more likely November, even though Nintendo Switch also launched in March, but that's Nintendo for you. Like, Sony's not going to want to ride their coattails, and they're not as arbitrarily thinking that like just because a certain release month happened. The Switch was such a new and innovative kind of product that the market was desperately hungry for, especially after the failure of the Wii U, that like it took off more likely than it was supposed to. The PlayStation 5 is leading the console generation this generation because of the 4, with 85 million units sold. There's no other competition with that right now, so they really have pressure and spotlight on them to bring the goods and to make sure that everybody stays happy with what they're going to do. So the links, as always, are going to be in the description box down below. And last story I wanted to touch on really quick is a lot of people were saying that Cell and Piccolo were going to be the two characters that are added to Jump Force. There were no screenshots to back this up, it was only rumored, but we do have screenshots that are revealed now, and I'll be showing them to you right here. What do you guys think about these two characters being included? That brings our count of Dragon Ball characters in the game to 5, and that ties it with One Piece at 5. Would you have preferred somebody else? That's going to be the video for today, guys. I want to thank you for joining me. If there's anything else you guys want to comment on or any other questions that you have, you can talk to me in the description box below, which is the second part of the video. I do respond, and I appreciate everybody staying with the video. Be sure to check out my friend Rich at Ragaroth Enterprises, and you can find a link to his channel also in my description box down below, as well as everything else we've talked about today. And that's going to be the video, guys. And as always, stay powered up. Peace.
Give it up to me, baby, give it up. My